Coming up, we'll be on location in Frederick, Maryland at INR Healing for Abundant Living, Inc., discussing the benefits of having a life coach and how they help folks overcome life's challenges and obstacles and help them through their personal, spiritual, and professional journeys through their lives, with Karmin Jenkins, one of this region's top life coaches. Welcome, Karmin. It's a pleasure having you on with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's your first time, in fact, on with us on our program. We have a lot to talk about, and you and your practice are certainly recognized as one of this region's top life coaches throughout not only the Maryland region, but DC and Virginia and even beyond, because of the virtual services that you offer to help your clients everywhere, quite frankly. And I wanted to start right off the bat, if I may, by having you please tell us and share with us the vision behind your practice to help so many folks as you are.
I think that for me, it came out of overall just my life experience. From the time that, as early as I can recall, which was probably about the age of 4.5, 5 actually.
Okay.
I can remember the very first time my mother took me to school and, they dropped it off, and you have that, attachment challenges, with a parent leaving their child and the child feeling comfortable being left at school. So I vividly remember that experience, and just various things throughout my life in relationship to my family and how I related with people in the world. I am a military retiree. And so
thank you for serving our country. I understand you were in the military for many years.
I was in the Army and the Army Reserve and retired from the Army Reserves. Yes, yes. So that added to my life experiences as well. Did some college during those years also. And so working for the federal government, which is where I retired from my career, in addition to the Army Reserve, I wanted to continue doing something to give back to people. I'm a licensed clinical social worker by profession, and wanted to do something related to counseling, but I wasn't really sure what that was going to be. And then I started to hear some things about life coaching. So that was in 2017. And I thought, that sounds interesting. I'm not really sure what that's all about. So as I did more research and just spoke with some people and just kind of got a better understanding of all the kinds of coaches that there are, life coaching just seemed to be something that spoke to me. And so I pursued some certification in that area. And what I began to understand, because as a coach, it's good if you have a coach. So you find out more things about yourself on a deeper level, and so I did that as well. And I really began to understand more of how my brain worked, how my heart worked in relationship to my behaviors. And so I thought, that's really what I want to do. Clinical counseling has its time and space, and it's for certain people and can be very beneficial if the right person is connected with the right therapist, just as with life coaching. And as I said, there are various types of coaches, but helping people to strategically move through their life's journey just really spoke to me. And so, even for myself, I'm still on a journey in my life. I have a coach as well, personally and for business. And so what I know to be true, and many others are also probably finding that out, there are a lot of things we can do on our own. We have the wherewithal, we have the skills, the abilities, the gifts, the talents, but there comes a time or times in our life, not that we don't know what to do, but sometimes we just don't know how to navigate and how to get from here to there. To produce the results that we ultimately want to have. And so that's the person that I want to be in other people's lives. So as a life coach, my approach is not to tell people what to do, but it's to help them to navigate through their experience of where they are, where they want to get to, and how they want to get there, and support them in that journey.
That is wonderful, and the fact that all of us, that one time or another, if not several times, through our lives, whatever we're going after as our goals, whatever we are looking to achieve, whether it's personally, professionally, spiritually, whatever area of life it may be in, we all at one time or another go astray off of that path that we believe is the correct path. And that's where, towards our goals, and that's where someone like yourself is so vital to help us, right?
Yes.
As you said, not to tell us, but to help us, work with us, to help us get back on that path towards achieving what we desire in our lives.
Yes, yes.
And then I love how you're helping so many folks. You really are. And the fact that you integrate your therapist background, being a licensed clinical social worker as well in the mental health modality, and where you really listen to your clients, right? From that background to helping and listening to your clients and integrating that in with life coaching really has given you another major tool in your toolbox, if I may use that phrase, in helping your clients really achieve the results.
It really does. However, there's caution in that as well, because as I said, therapy is a specialized area, and life coaching is not meant to be therapy.
That's right.
It's therapeutic, but it's not therapy. At least it should not have that feel. And so, initially it was a little challenging to separate the two because it's so much of who I am as a clinician. But what I began to find out was it wasn't difficult to do, because I truly believe in the innate ability of the human being to bring forth what's within them.
Yeah.
And so, really entrusting those that I come alongside to coach to know what's best for them. So as I said, I'm not telling them what to do, but helping them to do what they already know they want to do so that there's some good outcomes.
Yes, indeed. I really appreciate you sharing that and going into such detail to let the folks out there truly get a better picture of how you help folks. Now, what would you say, Karmin, based on your experience, are some of the more common issues or problems that you see that a lot of folks are dealing with or they're coming to yourself for help with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I find that at this point in time, I primarily coach women, although I coach men as well. But those that primarily come in my forefront are women. And so all of the persons that I coach are legal adults. And as I said, there are men that I have coached and that still I coach as well. But I find that, as many of us already understand, there is a difference between how men process things and how women process things. We think differently. We think about the same kinds of things. We just think about them and feel differently about them. But we're all human beings. And so at a very deep level, we all have the same needs. And we all kind of have the same basic desires as well. And so that helps me to have some common ground, whether it's a male, whether it's a female, to come alongside them and to hear from them what it is that they're desiring to do, what they want to do, how they want to get things done. And so what I find often, the challenge is, whether it's male or female, is what I'm thinking something that only I think about, and this adversity, as I describe it, that I'm having now, is this something that's going to control me, or is it something that I can maintain control over and conquer? And so that's the approach that I come alongside others with. Because we all have challenges in life. And as long as we're living in this world, we're going to have some challenges.
That's part of life.
But we don't have to allow our challenges to control us.
Yes.
Now, that is not saying that they haven't, even in my life at certain times. But having someone who is well-versed in various aspects of life and also various types of life experiences I believe is the best match that you can get.
Yes.
And so generally what I find with the women and the men that I have coached, the commonality or the common thread is not being where they want to be at in their life.
Yes.
And the thought processes or the challenges or the personality types vary, actually. Sometimes there are people that are very, heart-charging and very go-getting, but sometimes neglect themselves and haven't taken the best self-care of themselves and have put themselves on the back burner, so to speak, to accomplish their career, to take care of their families, and so they sometimes get to a point where they feel depleted. Yeah. Sometimes the type of person is someone that is not as focused or as directed. They know what they want to do, as I said, but really haven't put all of themselves into getting where they really want to get because other things have distracted them or sidetracked them. Yeah. And so I guess I would say that there's generally two types of persons. Persons that are going to continue to move forward no matter what, at all cost. And then there are people that when things come up, they kind of get stuck.
Yeah.
And I believe that both of those types of persons need to really understand who they are so that they can take the best care of themselves and those around them and continue to move forth in the direction that they like to go.
Yes, absolutely. And certainly that's exactly what so many of us have gone through at different parts of our lives, right? Especially as we go through our adulthood and our pursuing our dreams and our careers and our relationships and everything else that comes with it. Now, what would you say, Karmin, are some of the main reasons or causes for these dilemmas or challenges or obstacles that inevitably hit so many of us?
Yeah, sometimes it's age. Sometimes the person has not had the degree of life experiences that have given them the history to be able to look back to see where they are and to look forward. As an example, if you're a young college student, this is your first time away from home and you're just entering in college, well, you only have the life experience at that point in time that you have. And so you don't know a lot yet about the world around you or about people outside of your family group. So they're still learning. Sometimes it's people that are at a later stage of life and they look back at their life and say, wow, I really wish I had have done these things. And I don't know if I'm still going to be able to accomplish those things because of economics, because of other responsibilities, because of health.
Yeah.
And sometimes just because of the way that the world is, people sometimes get discouraged by life in general. And they have had so many letdowns and disappointments that the motivation that they once had has shifted or it's no longer there. And so I think it would be a disservice for me to say it's this or this, because the persons that I have had the honor to coach, and they may hear this taping, they may say, well, what about me?
Yes.
So I typically come alongside women or men that have similar life challenges or life adversities, but how they have approached them or how they perceive that they can approach them varies.
Yes. Well, ultimately, like you said, a lot of us go through similar challenges and obstacles, but we're all different individuals and how
Absolutely.
we perceive them. You're absolutely correct. Really, perception is reality when it comes to each person.
So much so.
Karmin, is there a common or typical characteristic or personality trait in people that you feel really helps or can facilitate these types of issues to occur? And I know as we go through life and we get older, a lot of issues that or challenges that we are going through internally, which affects us externally, are the result of something we may have gone through or experienced when we were much younger in our lives.
Yeah. It's our cognition, how we think about things. And so, the way we think, what we think, impacts how we feel, and then it comes out in our behaviors, our actions. And so there are many types of personalities. But I would say that those, we're drawn to certain people, right? Certain people are drawn to us. So those that I'm drawn to and those that are drawn to me, and we connect, and I'm able to coach, they allow me that space in their life, are people that have fears. They have fears about varied things. And fears can be paralyzing. They can be stifling, and they can cause you or have an impact on you to become stuck. Then there are people that tend to have conscious or unconscious behaviors that we would say are controlling. So they're trying to control their world and the world around them, mm-hmm. but often it limits what they could ultimately achieve.
Yes.
So that's the second group or type of persons that I have become most involved with. And then there are those that have just this sense of, I'm not enough. I'm not going to be able to do more. No matter what I do, things are not going to get better. And so I would say those are the three primary types of persons that I've had experiences with coaching.
Well, certainly good to know, and I appreciate you going into that for us. Karmin, as far as the folks out there watching right now, what's the process that they can expect to go through from initially contacting you, seeking out your help, to what then takes place after that, as far as that initial evaluation / process goes?
It's really pretty simple. Once we connect, the biggest challenge for most people is taking the first step, reaching out. Most of us know what we need help with. It's being vulnerable enough to take the first step to reach out to someone and say, could you help me with this? So once a person takes that step and we connect, the rest is pretty seamless. So they connect with me. We have some discussion or conversation about what I could offer based on what they're looking for. If we're going to be a good fit, because it's a two-way partnership, and if we both agree that I'll be a good fit for them and they'll be a good fit for me to coach, and then we formalize that agreement. I send them some information, and they complete, provide me back some information, and then we go from there. And that process ideally could take less than an hour.
Oh.
However, the longest part of it is what comes after that.
Yes.
Because I believe that you can give people a lot of information, you can provide them with a lot of resources and tools, but you have to implement them. And once the implementation starts, then you need to have some time to monitor that. And let's look at the progress. Let's look at some of the hurdles, some of the blind spots, and some of the things that have happened in the past, what's happening now, so that we don't have the same types of stumbling blocks moving forward, so that we can achieve the best outcomes.
Absolutely. And so it sounds like from what you just said, you customize the appropriate treatment plan to help each of your clients.
Absolutely.
Through their journeys, through their lives. And I take it your sessions are virtual?
They are virtual. I find that since COVID, most people are able to do that more readily.
Yes.
And it really provides me the opportunity to reach a wider group of people. So I don't now have to just stay within Maryland. I can meet with someone that's in California, someone that's even overseas.
That's right.
Because with virtual connections now we can go to various places.
Karmin, I wanted to also ask you what you feel through your experience and certainly expertise in life coaching, are some of the most effective strategies, tools that you utilize and are available to help your clients through their challenges?
So I know, I would say the foundations of what I'm doing, but that's not as important for the coachee to know. They want results.
Yes.
And so what I have done is pulled together all of what I know from my clinical experience, from college and into the time where I did clinical counseling, and what I know and have learned about life coaching, and pulled all of that together to develop and create what's going to be most applicable to apply and customize for the individual. And so for some, it's all the same thing. Goal setting is goal setting.
Yeah.
How you approach that, the different things that you use to help someone establish and implement goals, it's pretty much the same regardless of what the goal is. But then there are some other things that will be implemented that the coachee may not even know that that's what they're doing. For example, we all have biases. And there are various kinds of biases. And so there are biases that are cognitively related. And so the way that our brain works on a neurological pathway. So throughout our life, we discover from our life ways of thinking. And so there are some things that we have positive thoughts about, and there are some things that we have negative thoughts about. And so those biases, unbeknownst to us, are often the things that drive us or motivate us to do or to not do certain things. And they're not always conscious. And so I know those things. And so those are some things that I incorporate into my coaching practice. Because what I know, and a part of what I try to educate the client, is that regardless of what we have learned, our brains can be retrained.
That's right.
They can be rewired. And so I may have learned that from the outside, looking at myself, I'm not the most attractive person. That might be the story that I tell myself, but I can unlearn that and create a new story. So regardless of what people have said about me, said to me, I'm too thin, I'm too fat, I'm overweight, whatever that may have been, I've developed a story about that. And sometimes those stories that we have been telling ourselves can be the very things that prohibit or inhibit us from moving forward and getting the results.
Those are our blocks internally.
There are blocks, and there are also blind spots sometimes.
Yes.
And so I can't really give you a specific tool, but what I can say is the primary tool that I use is helping people understand how they think, why they might think the way they think, and how that connects with the behaviors. Because what we want to do is be the best that we can be in the world. In order to do that, we have to understand what those behaviors may have been that have been not productive for us.
Yes. I also wanted to ask you, what type of results do your clients typically experience utilizing your life coaching services? And I want to put in the proper disclaimer that you're there to help them, guide them with your experience and expertise. But like with any relationship or partnership, as you mentioned earlier in the interview, see, I'm a host that listens, that it is a two-way street.
Yes, absolutely.
You can bring, as an example, you can help someone right to where the water is, but they still have to reach over and drink it, right?
Absolutely.
So it applies here. With that being said, what kind of results do your clients experience?
You know, there's always a good outcome. Do they, at the end of the sessions that I have with clients are generally 8 to 10, or over an agreed upon period of time. And the outcome, because we don't try to cover everything, we look at 8 to 10 primary areas of life, and the client picks 3 of those. And then we even narrow that down a little bit further to see whether those three may be integrated. And so when we're focusing very strategically on the three areas that the client identifies, that allows us to be able to target those areas, be intentional about focus, and then look at the strategies that are needed for that individual to have good outcomes. So there's always an outcome that the client is pleased about. Now, do they get to the degree that they want to get to in 8 to 10 sessions? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but they continue on.
Yes.
And so what I know to be true is that when the client, the coach E, is agreeable to do the work, they're going to get some good results. After our coaching sessions, they have to continue on with what they have learned and what they have implemented. So as long as they do those things, they're going to continue to get good results.
Absolutely. It's they have to do their part. In other words, we
Yes.
have to with the coach.
Yes.
And so that's certainly good to know from what you just said. I also love the fact that you really utilize an integrative and holistic approach at your coaching practice. As you just mentioned, you really integrate different areas within life coaching based on that particular client, right? That person, his or her needs, and then you customize the appropriate plan to really help them through their journeys. So after your client has gone through the coaching sessions with you, they've achieved the outcome and the results that they wanted and desire. Over time, as we go through and continue through life, do you like to check back with them or follow up with them
Yes.
after a certain period of time just to make sure everything is where it was
Absolutely.
when they
Yes.
achieved those results, right?
Absolutely, and which is what we talk about up front. There are, I call them bonus sessions that I offer and provide if desired, but the connection, the relationship is lifelong, and so we stay in contact. And periodically, because of access through social media, we're connected that way as well. So I'll check in with them at unbeknownst times to them, and just check in and see how things are going and how they're doing. Because we can do really well with some things for a while, but human nature is human nature, and so it's good just to have that periodic reminder of what we committed to ourselves to do, and to know that there's someone that's there that's still available if we need ongoing support. And so, I never drop any of the persons that I coach, but we have an ongoing relationship. It may not be where we talk or see each other for those that I am able to see because we're in the same general area directly after, but we have some contact virtually.
That's
through social
wonderful.
media.
And we're literally out of time, Karmin. And for the folks out there watching, is there anything else you'd like to add or share with our viewers?
Yeah, coaching for me and my form and methodology of coaching, there's a lot of science behind coaching and life coaching, but I do it from my heart. And I know that the heart of those that desire to have life better than the life they're currently living, there's a heart part in them that wants something more. And so for those that are looking for something more and wanting more out of life than they currently have, the ways of reaching me are posted in the box here on the video.
Yeah, you got the website right there on the screen.
But I say, reach out. Let's chat. Let's talk. Let me hear what's in your heart, and let me just kind of share with you how I might be able to support you.
On that note, we'd like to thank you, Karmin, for joining us, educating us on all that you offer to so many folks as one of this region's top life coaches. It was certainly a pleasure having you on with us.
Thank you.